2023 NFL Draft coverage on Keon Sports is brought to you by Hinckley Roofing. Founder of Hinckley Roofing, Steve Walkuski Sr., with years of roofing experience, moved to Hinckley, Ohio in 1958, the home of the Buzzards. Steve is looking to build a company driven on service, quality, and integrity. Hinckley Roofing is a family-owned and operated business serving the northern Ohio area since 1958. Mention Keon Sports when you call for a 10% discount. Got you covered Medina, with everything from blinds, custom bedding, and shutters to shades and drapery. They have it all. Check them out online at www.gotchacovered.com/Medina or call them at 330-446-3647. That's 330-446-3647. TNT Construction. TNT Construction is a private family-owned construction company located in Berea. TNT provides residential and commercial remodeling, construction, and building services to clients in Cleveland and all of Northeast Ohio. Pulp North Olmsted. Hey North Olmsted Eagles fans, former NFL player and Eagle alumni Matt Rothram wants to see you at Pulp North Olmsted. This delicious and healthy meal phenomena is exactly what North Olmsted needed. From wraps to bowls to smoothies and everything in between, this is the perfect healthy option for the person on the go. Stop in and taste for yourself at 27650 Lorraine Road in North Olmsted. The store is at the corner of Porter and Lorraine, right around the block from North Olmsted High School. Stop in before the game this week. And JBL Roofing and Construction. JBL was founded by the Lewis family of Kent, Ohio in 2005 to provide residents with a reliable, professional, and high-quality level of service. Fast forward to today, JBL Roofing and Construction has become one of Northeast Ohio's most trusted roofing and siding companies, performing the highest quality of work on over 3,000 roofs and projects. If you have been following along day by day for the prospect rankings, you've seen Cole's Corner, the prospect rankings for 2023, the NFL Draft, then you know that yesterday was the last day for the defensive prospects, and now today we move on to the offensive side of the football. I'm Cole McDaniel. Thank you for watching, listening here on the Keon Sports YouTube channel. And today, if you can see here, says Heavyweight Champ. It's a Rocky Balboa t-shirt, one of my shirts, and actually, shout out to Vince McKee, of course, dear friend of mine, but also the president, the CEO, the founder here of Keon Sports. And of course, he and I, we do the Climate Tech Inc. NFL prediction show every year with each other. That one wrapped up right around Super Bowl time. Of course, it will be back come the fall again. Can't wait to be back really on air here on the YouTube channel with Vince again as we get about half a year off from that show, but looking forward to when that comes back. But he and I, just a few weeks ago, we actually went and watched Creed 3. He and I both love the Rocky series. Of course, Creed branches off from that, and we got to watch Creed 3 a few weeks ago. And, of course, throughout those Rocky movies and into the Creed movies, you know, it's all about the light heavyweight, the heavyweight championship of the world. And I'm going to talk about some heavyweights that need a little bit more respect, a little bit more love, and probably one of the most undervalued position groups when it comes to what fans are paying attention to and celebrating and talking about really when the NFL Draft is coming up. Because the quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, they're of course going to get love because of fantasy football, especially with those players out there like myself that are involved in dynasty leagues. Everybody loves talking about the defense, and the tackles are a more intriguing position group usually to talk about than the interior offensive linemen. But today we're talking about the interior linemen. We're going to give those big guys some love, the respect that they deserve, and we're going to do it right now by jumping in to number 3. At number 3, Emil Ekiyor Jr. of Alabama. He played right guard at Alabama, but has the athleticism and ability to really play at either side, could fit in at left guard or right guard. He's extremely experienced, was a reliable player for the Crimson Tide, and managed to be impactful by using his quick feet, his top-tier awareness, and remaining physical on almost every single play. Ekiyor Jr. does well at sealing off defenders in addition to climbing to the second level in the run game. He switches well when he sees stunts and twists being thrown his way. Sometimes I do think that he can get overly aggressive, and that results in him losing his balance at times. If he can clean up his technique and become more consistent, then I think he has the ability to become an excellent guard in the NFL. But right now, he is an excellent prospect who might actually end up being more of a middle round guy, and we'll touch on that here in just a moment. But my player comparison for him is Ed Ingram. I think Ingram and he have some similarities. Ekiyor Jr. probably a bit better of a prospect than Ingram. My projection, 2nd to 4th round. I could see him going early day 2, but I think he probably falls right in the middle a little bit more. Going to see him right around that 3rd round spot, maybe sneaking into the final day at the beginning of the 4th round. Certainly a possibility there. Could be a steal, again, if he ends up being a 4th round guy. My best fits for him, San Francisco. San Francisco, they need to continue to add to that offensive line at the moment. I think they can continue to build off of that, what was already a good offensive line. But when you have Christian McCaffrey, I think that you need to find a way to continue to open up holes for him. And I think Ekiyor Jr. could be a nice piece added to that line. Cincinnati, they're continuing to work on revamping that offensive line, but they shouldn't be done yet. Maybe you can still look at getting a guard here if you're Cincinnati. The Los Angeles Chargers, they can add to the guard spot. I think they're good enough at protecting the passer. I would say that slipped a little bit when Rashawn Slater went down with his injury last year and was out at tackle, and they need somebody filling in. But typically when they're healthy, the Chargers are good protecting Herbert, protecting the passer, but they're just okay when blocking for the run. I think Ekiyor Jr. would bring a new intensity, maybe help open up some holes for the running back in Los Angeles, regardless of whether that is Eckler, if he's still there, or if that ends up being another player. And then my wild card team for him is Pittsburgh. They're really doing a lot to their offensive line, or at least going to need to do a lot to their offensive line in this draft. He's a guy that could fit in well for them and help them out significantly when their line, on paper, might be one of the worst in the NFL. At number 2, Andrew Voorhees of USC. Now, Voorhees, unfortunately, his stock is slipping a little bit. Not because of anything he's doing playing-wise or, any issues off the field or anything along those lines. And he, by far and away, coming into these evaluations, was my top offensive guard prospect. Now, at the Combine, tore his ACL. And what was impressive, though, is after the injury, he still did the bench press and rep 225 pounds, I believe 38 times following the injury. Of course, people might say, yeah, there's not the strain on the knee for doing that. But, he was just putting one foot on the floor, pushing off. That was strictly all upper body strength, and saw the desire to succeed, the desire to be great, the desire to put on a show and prove that he's a good player and a good physical specimen. And I love that intensity and that mentality that he has. So in my books, despite the injury, knowing he's going to have a recovery, that still almost balanced it out because he made up for it there with the bench press, and I love that heart that he showed out there. It doesn't change my evaluation. It probably is going to change the evaluation for maybe some other scouts. Maybe some teams want to stay away from him because they need the help immediately and he might not be back right at the beginning of the season. Regardless, Voorhees is a talent, and I'm going to talk about that talent right now. He is the ideal size you want for a guard. An excellent wingspan, fantastic athleticism, and he has a ton of power, yet still the versatility to play at all 5 offensive line spots. So not only is he just a guard, if you need to plug and play him at other positions, if there's injuries on your line, he has the ability to do so. He's aggressive in the run game, really a monster at times because he can toss defenders and turn them with ease. He's a solid pass protector with a strong anchor. Voorhees, because of that length and being taller, his pad level does tend to get a bit high, and he only has modest speed. Neither of those things are major concerns for me just because of the ability that he has, and I think those are things that he has learned to play around and deal with, and hasn't had an issue with that during his time at USC. I don't think it's going to be a crippling issue for him in the NFL. Once he steps on the field after his recovery, he will undoubtedly impress anybody out there. My player comparisons for him, Zach Martin and Quentin Nelson. You can't get much better than those offensive guards there. Voorhees has all the ability to be in that group if he recovers well from the injury, and the team that he ends up being with, they really help get him back to 100% quickly, but not rushing him on the field too much where it causes further damage to him. Again, if he can get out there when he's fully healthy, I have no doubt that maybe over time he can develop to the level of Martin and Nelson and be one of the top guards in the entire NFL. I still think he'll be a day 2 guy, second or third round. I think he maybe could have snuck into the first round if it weren't for the injury, but should hear his name called on day 2. Doubt there's any way with his talent that he slides to Saturday. I just don't think it's going to happen. Best fits for him, Las Vegas. They could really use a guard there, especially if they're drafting the quarterback of the future. I don't think Jimmy G was brought in as the starter. I think the plan is for him to probably be the backup or a young guy coming in, and if for some reason that guy isn't ready to take the job, then maybe Jimmy G will play immediately while the rookie gets a little bit of time to develop. But regardless of who's behind, center, under center, I think that bringing in Voorhees in Las Vegas would be helpful. Seattle would be another good one. They've revamped the tackle position with Charles Cross last year. They're continuing to build to that line. Geno Smith has been given a contract extension. He really performed well last year. You have to keep Smith upright in Seattle. That would be a nice fit. Arizona would be a good fit for him there. They could use an offensive guard. And then the wild card is Baltimore. I think Baltimore could stick him in there, and I think Voorhees would make an impact in Baltimore for the Ravens. At number 1, John Michael Schmitz of Minnesota. And this is a really good center group. I know interior offensive linemen, they get grouped together between the guards and the centers. John Michael Schmitz is my top center. He's my top interior offensive line prospect overall, but this is part of a very talented group. So if you can't get John Michael Schmitz, you have Aluatimi, Whippler, some guys like that, Forsyth. I mean, you have plenty of centers, Tippmann as well. Guys that you can look to select that position if you can't get John Michael Schmitz, but I think he is the cream of the crop here. He's an all-pro type of center. Not only is he nasty, physical, but he's a master of opening up huge rushing lanes and getting pancakes. Yes, the stat for offensive linemen that they love, they celebrate, again, pancakes. That is something that he is a master at. He did at Minnesota, and he'll probably do it in the league as well. He's direct and decisive in his play. I don't think he's really caught in between decisions too often. He's a large center with a stout anchor in pass protection as well. Even though he is a bigger player, he still climbs to the second level well, despite not being the best athlete on the field. He was tenured in his time at Minnesota, also possesses some great hands. He may be the only interior offensive lineman to actually sneak into the first round in this class. We'll talk about that projection here in just a moment. Obviously, I'm going to say first round, but we'll still go to the player comparison first. I think Ethan Posich as well as Tyler Biadasz are the best comparisons there. Both talented centers. Obviously, John Michael Schmitz, a little bit bigger, heavier than what Posich is, but I think Posich is a great run blocker, especially in between Teller and Batonio. I think there's plenty of skill set there, and Biadasz, I think there's some similarities there and that level of play. So I think John Michael Schmidt's not going to have a problem adjusting into the league. He'll be a starting center immediately. Like I said, first round is my projection for him. Might even be the only interior offensive lineman to get selected in the first round, especially after the injury to Voorhees. Best fits for him, Denver. Denver, they could really use him at center. I think that might be the best fit for him, especially now that they will be getting Javonte Williams back as he's coming off of his injury. I think the power that he has be great to have a center that can clear some running lanes for a talented running back like him. And Samaje Perine, who they just picked up in free agency, had a really good year last year for the Cincinnati Bengals. And Perine, when he gets touches as well, John Michael Schmitz could clear out some holes for him as well, some space. And Perine, maybe he could do what he did in Denver, like what he did in Cincinnati last season. San Francisco 49ers. Be a good fit there at center, John Michael Schmitz would be, because Christian McCaffrey, a guy trying to clear out some rushing lanes in a run-heavy system. Buffalo would be a good fit. Buffalo, not really a run-heavy team yet, but John Michael Schmitz be a really nice fit there up in Buffalo. I think that cold weather, playing at Minnesota, I think it actually kind of fits if he moves out to Buffalo. And then my wild card is Seattle. I think Seattle, they need a center. Maybe, like I said, some of those other teams might be better fits. I really think Denver's a great fit for him. But Seattle, he could certainly play there. And they have Kenneth Walker Jr., who I am really high on. I think he's going to continue to really establish a young career. So you get a good run blocker at center. That's going to be very helpful for the Seahawks. That's going to do it for the start of the offensive prospect rankings, as we were talking about the interior offensive line, giving them some love. We're going to stick with the big guys tomorrow as we talk about the offensive tackles. And then after that, you've been waiting for it, we get to the skill positions, especially for those out there thinking about fantasy football and dynasty rookie drafts coming up before too long as well. Make sure to hit the subscribe button here, like this video here as well on the Keon Sports YouTube channel. For myself, Cole McDaniel, I'll see you tomorrow.